Okay, so our first section of work in the topic equations and inequalities are our quadratic equations, and they take the form ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, that should of course be an a, where a and b are coefficients and c is a constant value like 1, minus 1, 2, minus 2, 16, etc. So there are two ways to factorize a quadratic equation, as you would have learned in grade 9 and 10. The first method is factorization, and the second would be by using a square root. So the first type, if we have x squared is equal to 9, we could factorize this. We take our 9 to the left, equal to 0. Then we have a difference of two squares, so we can say x plus 3, we can say x minus 3, all equal to 0. And then we have our two options, x plus 3 equal to 0, or x minus 3 equal to 0. And then our two solutions is when x is minus 3, or when x is equal to 3. So that is type 1, factorizing. Type 2 is using a square root, which in some cases are simpler, or is simpler to do. Right, so instead of doing that long process, we can just square root both sides. Okay, so I square root the x squared to be left with x, and I square root the 9 to get an answer of plus minus 3. Okay, so when we do a square root, our options here would be positive or negative for that value, as would have been seen in examples where we worked with rational exponents. Okay, and so therefore x is equal to positive 3, or x is equal to negative 3, which is the same set of solutions that we found a minute ago. Okay, so those are your two options when solving a quadratic equation. You either factorize or you make use of a square root if possible. So we will begin with example 5, and that is what it is called in the Mind Action Series textbook, the one that I'm working out of. So first of all, when we're working with our quadratic equation, ideally you want to have ax squared plus bx plus c all equal to 0. Because it's an equation, you need to see the equal sign. Okay, so if we look at this problem, we need to have our constant on the left with the rest of our values, so we can have x squared minus 5x minus 6 all equal to 0. Now at this point, as you can see, the square rooting option isn't an option for us here, so we have to factorize. Okay, so we go ahead and we write out our factors of 6. We have 2 and 3, we have 6 and 1, and those factors need to work together to give us a value of minus 5 over here. Okay, and when multiplied, we need to get a value of minus 6. So we go ahead, we open up our brackets, all right, and then we choose our factors. So if we look at 2 and 3, 2 and 3 would give us minus 5 if they were both negative. Okay, if they were both negative, they will give us minus 5, but when we multiply them, they will give us positive 6. But we need to have a negative 6, so this will not work. All right, whereas with 6 and 1, if I say minus 6 plus 1, then I can get minus 5, and when I multiply those two values, I will get the minus 6. So my solution is therefore x minus 6 and x plus 1. Again, to be sure that your solution is correct, it must not only add to give you the middle term, they also need to multiply to give you the last term or the constant. And 6 and 1 is the only two values that can do that for us. Okay, and so now our solution is when x minus 6 is 0, or when x plus 1 is equal to 0. And then we solve for x. So the one solution is when x is equal to 6, and the alternative is when x is equal to minus 1. And that is the end of the first example under example 5.